What's going on, guys? It's the LA Fakers back at it with another NFL Nitro episode. Today we will be reviewing the crazy Week 12 games, along with giving our predictions for Week 13. How are you feeling after this week?
Hey, it was a pretty good week for both of us, I think you could say.
sure.
It was a really interesting week. A lot of crazy games occurred. So yeah.
Yep, even an OT game. That being said, let's get into it. First game of the week, Thursday Night Football, is my Cleveland Browns. This is the happiest I've been about them all year. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who win 24-19. Yes, do I want a good pick? I absolutely do, but man, that felt great to pull off an upset against the Steelers. Love beating them. It was a crazy game. Felt like it was a blizzard, but the Browns went, at one point were 0-9 on third downs, but 4 for 4 on fourth downs. That's just the Jameis effect, I guess. I'm here for it. Yes, sir. Jameis was playing well. He had a really solid game. Jerry Jeudy is continuing his breakout. Looked amazing. Came up big late. I mean, it's amazing. Even Nick Chubb got a couple touchdowns. They got the game-winning touchdown. Love to see it against the team he got hurt against. There's so much to say. Myles Garrett, that's why he's a DPOY. Forced fumble and 3 sacks, all in the first half. Meanwhile, on the other end, TJ Watt didn't do nothing. He was silent the whole game. Russ did play pretty well. He had a bad fumble, but I mean, he was fine, I guess. But he wasn't good enough to beat the Cleveland Browns. Oh, it feels good. But now, I'd appreciate it if we could get back to losing low-key. I mean, I wouldn't mind beating the Broncos and the Steelers again, and then we go to losing. But I do want a good pick, because we're not playing for anything.
If you lose to us and this, or if you beat us and the Steelers, you guys are going to have too many wins to get that first pick.
We don't need the first. We just need a top 10 pick.
Think about it.
We'll take Jalen Milroe, He kind of, he's been playing kind of mid. But anyway, go Browns!
Alright. Moving on from that game, it was I think you can say, a very surprising game from the Panthers. They did end up going down to the Chiefs. 30-27 was the final, but still a much improved performance from the Panthers, nearly beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Starting with the Chiefs, they played really well, like 30 points obviously. But Patrick Mahomes was balling. He had 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. Their run game had over 100 yards. They were absolutely just doing everything right. I mean, they were playing really well. And to be honest, I don't know how this was so close with the Panthers. They really should have, with those stat lines, they should have been blowing out the Panthers. But Bryce Young, he's improving for sure. I feel like I said it earlier in the year. I still believe in him, and clearly him being benched was a good thing for them, because he was balling out. He had 260 yards and a touchdown. Not like, not the greatest game ever, but he gets the job done for sure. I mean, it was crazy. He led a touchdown drive right at the end of the game, to tie it up. But unfortunately, obviously, he gave Patrick Mahomes 1 minute 40, and that was all she wrote, basically, as Mahomes iced it with a good game-winning drive. But some massive improvements from the Panthers. I really have enjoyed seeing them over the last few weeks. The confidence is definitely going to be up after this one, I think. Yeah.
The next game was the overtime game I mentioned. Somehow not the craziest game of the week, but we'll get into that. But it was the Minnesota Vikings pretty much ending Chicago's season, 30-27. Maybe Chicago are better than someone thought. They were close in it, but the Vikings moved to 9-2.
Doesn't count.
The Vikings are only a game back from the Lions. They still have a real chance to win the NFC. They play week 18, I believe, so that'll be a good matchup. But Overall, Sam Darnold had an amazing day, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got injured in the fourth quarter, came back in overtime and was perfect when they needed him. Jordan Addison adding on to that was just everywhere. I mean, the Bears were clearly trying to focus on stopping Justin Jefferson. They succeeded, but that left, Jordan Addison, who was absolutely cooking, 162 yards and a touchdown. Career day for him. Caleb Williams, he may not win Rookie of the Year, but he had a great day. And this, Loki, I'm thinking this QB class is honestly looking really good. I mean, I know Daniels hasn't been playing great. Williams has had his ups and downs. Bo Nix started slow. But all three, even Drake May, JJ McCarthy hasn't even played too. And it looks like it could be a really good QB class in the long run.
Or Michael Penix.
Yeah, facts, actually, I forgot. Oh my god. Caleb Williams had a great day, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Love to see it from him. Hopefully he can continue that.
But moving on from that, it was my lock of the week, which, well, like yours last week, I believe it was. No, it wasn't yours last week. It was yours, like yours a couple weeks ago. You got yours wrong. And yeah, and clearly predicting is tough sometimes.
In this league, for
but
sure.
it was the Tennessee Titans taking down the Houston Texans 32-27. A really nice game overall from the Titans. Obviously, they played a really good brand of football. Starting with the Texans, the home team though. CJ Stroud, I believe it was last week or maybe a couple weeks ago, you kind of said that his struggles, you've kind of highlighted his struggles, and I mean, they just becoming more apparent every week. He threw for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. Not something you really want to see, especially against, well, the Titans defense is good actually, it's not too bad. CJ, he just hasn't really been doing it. He hasn't been doing it much. He's been relying on Joe Mixon, I feel like, this whole year. And Joe Mixon did not have a good game. 10 carries for 22 yards. I mean, yeah, it seems like he's their whole offense, and partly, well, yeah, that's true. I mean, they just did not play their best football out there at all. A lot to be desired, and for sure the whole team's kind of in a sophomore slump. But onto the Titans, they obviously played a really nice game of football out there. Will Levis, he's actually looking better every week. He threw for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have an interception, but from what he was at the start of the year to what he is now, he's been really good. I mean, yeah, he did throw a pick 6. I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns, so that's definitely a good performance. Tony Pollard did go off though, 24 carries, 119 yards and a touchdown. And that's the blueprint, I think, for success for the Titans for sure, is what they know best. Also, guys like Chigakonkwo, who had 1 reception for 70 yards and a touchdown. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, we know that they obviously are a rebuilding team, but still to get division wins like this is pretty big. Going into Texans home and getting a good W. So yeah, great win for Titans.
The next game is the top of the NFC, the Detroit Lions, blowing out the Colts. And the Colts' playoff chances are slipping away, as they are currently the 9th seed and 2 games back from the Broncos. For the Lions, it was the run game. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery combining for 127 rushing yards, but more importantly, 3 rushing touchdowns. All of the touchdowns scored in this game. Anthony Richardson, he played well recently, didn't play well in this game. 11 for 28, 172 yards. I'm not going to go over it again. We've talked about it pretty much weekly. The completion percentage, it's got to be higher if they're going to be winning. But he's a great quarterback. Did have some nice, really deep throws. We know that he's good at that. Back to the Lions, though. Jared Goff also had a pretty good game. 26 for 36, 270 yards. Not necessarily building on his MVP case, but a very solid game. And then Tim Patrick also, shout out to him. 4 catches, 55
Yeah.
yards. He was getting involved for Detroit. Now he's on a winning team for once in his career. You know, he gets to actually cook
Right.
it. A nice win for Lions. We know what they're about. We know what they're competing for this year. So
The next game was the Miami Dolphins getting the job done over the New England Patriots, 34-15. Obviously, it was a much-needed W. For the Dolphins, they basically, I mean, they're definitely not out of playoff contention by any means. They are, you know,
yes,
they're right there, but they've got to win every game, and you know they're getting it done for sure. Tua went off, obviously. Tua had a really nice game, 317 yards with 4 touchdowns, getting the job done. Obviously, a really nice game by him, nearly like Bo Nix, but not quite. I mean, their run game for the most part of the year has been non-existent, and that's still the case. To me personally, this Dolphins team kind of still seems like the Dolphins teams of the past, where they can just cook in the regular season and then completely die in the playoffs. But you know,
I like their chances better than the Broncos to win a playoff game.
Fair enough. Jalen Waddle went off. He had 8 receptions, 144 yards, and a touchdown. Johnny Smith also went off. He seems to be their number 1 target, you know. F Tyreek Hill. Johnny Smith's that guy. He went off for 87 yards and a touchdown as well. Tyreek Hill obviously had a decent game. But yeah, overall it was a really nice performance. The Patriots, we know that they're not the best team. They're a rebuilding team. But I mean, yeah, it's obviously a W. It's a nice W for them. Really happy for Tua to bounce back like he did. Overall, yeah, a much needed win for Dolphins, obviously. And I mean, watch out for them. They could definitely make the playoffs for sure if we sell, which is actually a big likelihood. I feel like.
Yeah, they could win out.
Like that's quite likely.
There's still plenty of the season.
For sure. They have a couple easy games. They still play the Patriots and the Jets.
Damn.
So.
We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield absolutely dominating the new look Giants. New quarterback on the center, didn't matter. Baker Mayfield had a great game, 24 for 30, 294 yards. Did Tommy DeVito's celebration. There was a bit of stuff on it. It's all over the media, Lucky. But yeah, he had a great game. The Bucs just absolutely obliterated them. Like they got up 23-0 at halftime. So got it done early. Yeah. And they're actually only a game back from the Falcons. They still have a real chance to win the division. They don't have the tiebreaker though, because the Falcons are 2-0 against them. But they have a real chance still to win that division. So for the Giants, Tommy DeVito, 21 for 31, 189 yards. You know, as Malik Neighbors said, you know, take a look. It ain't the quarterback. He doesn't know what the problem is, but he's tired of losing. I don't think Daniel Jones was the issue on this Giants team. I mean, maybe he wasn't helping it, sure, but I'm not sure how much Tommy DeVito is it of an improvement. So, but yeah, you know, Malik, your young star receiver, pretty much the whole team's clearly behind Daniel Jones and saying that it wasn't his fault. So for a team that bad, you know, for the players that he's saying that's kind of rough. But getting back to the game anyway, Buccaneers just dominated the Giants here. Nice win. Help keep their division title chances alive. And yeah, good work, Baker and the company.
Yes.
The press.
Also, I'd just like to kind of highlight, I feel like there was one play on the goal line where I'm not completely sure who the running back was, but for the Bucks, he fumbled on the goal line, and literally nobody but Baker Mayfield saw it. And I feel like, I mean, to be fair, nobody saw it, but I feel like it kind of highlights the Giants season. Like they fumbled at the goal line, and nobody looked or saw and thought to pick it up. So, I mean, that kind of, to me, that play highlights what their season has been so far.
Yeah, it's rough.
Moving on, it was, well, the wackest and weirdest game of this year, I think, by far. It was the, um, it was the Washington Commanders losing, yes, losing to the Cowboys in the Big 24. Can you believe it? I can't. But starting with the Cowboys, Cooper Rush actually had a really nice game. He threw for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, which was, which is a very nice performance. Dowell did his job for sure. Rico Dowell had 86 on the ground. And overall, it was a really nice game from them. They just got in and did their job for sure. I mean, against the Commanders, it was obviously something they just needed to do. The Commanders have been on fire for the start of the year, at least. But including Jaden Daniels. But it seems like as Jaden Daniels has kind of cooled down, it seems like the Commanders have cooled down. And he played an okay game. It probably wasn't his worst game of his career, but not his best. I mean, he threw for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also threw 2 interceptions. And the league, I think, is catching up to him a little bit. He's not going off like he was earlier in the season. I mean, he did have 74 yards on the ground and another touchdown though, so it definitely wasn't the worst performance ever, and probably could have won them the game, but a lot of the tomfoolery and randomness of the fourth quarter, and his special team specifically did not help him. In case you missed it, I'm here to report it. The game in the first 3 quarters was a slugfest, NFC slugfest out there. It was 10-9, and the end score ended up being 34-26. There was, get out of my way. There was 41 points scored in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys won the fourth quarter, 24-17. I think that's 41. Who knows? It was mainly the special teams though. A fumble.
Then there was an onside recovery for a TD by the Cowboys.
Yeah, but yeah, the big moment I think in the game was for sure the muffed kickoff, which was then one of the craziest spin moves you will ever see anybody do. Of Turpin takes it all the way for a touchdown, and then on the answer back, Siebert, I believe it is, proceeded to miss the extra point. It was madness. Yeah, obviously, as you mentioned, they then had to do, they went on an onside, and then the Cowboys scored again. Left time, by the way. I'm not sure why. That'll definitely be talked about, because he left like 14 seconds on the clock by scoring a touchdown, but they still ended up winning, so it didn't really matter. Jaden Daniels did throw a pick on that last play, but yeah, obviously it was a really nice win for the Cowboys. They just aren't going to win many more, so I guess they got to enjoy this one for sure. And hey, the Commanders, they're looking rough right now for sure. It's not the end of the world, obviously. They're 7-5. That's a good enough record to get into the playoffs, but they can't be messing up like this. That's for sure.
Next up, we have a blowout. The Green Bay Packers blowing out the extremely injured San Francisco 49ers, 38-10. I'll start with the Packers first. Jordan Love, he was pretty good, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Ends an 8-game streak of throwing an interception, at least 1 interception. We've been talking about how the interceptions are really bad for the team. He's had a good game, didn't throw any. But the main, the main reason why they were able to pull it off was Josh Jacobs putting up 26 carries, 106 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It was massive
Oh.
for them. I feel like we're starting to see the elite running backs are clearly more important than it's made out to be. Like, they're winning games left and right for teams.
For sure.
But we'll talk about the Niners. Brock Purdy was out to a shoulder injury. Nick Bosa to an oblique. Trent Williams to an ankle. They were just in rough shape. But even after all of this, even with how bad this season is, they're 5-6. They still have a chance to win a division. They do have some tough games. They have a tough game against the Bills coming up. But they're in it, which is what really matters after this disaster season. CMC was less than notable as well. He only had 11 carries, 31 yards, and a fumble. It was rough. I don't want to count the Niners yet just because they still have like some of the elite players when they're playing well, but it's looking bad and they're in some trouble. But for the Packers, they're hoping to get some momentum going because I feel like it's pretty much they're going to be in the wild card, I must say. So they want to get some
For
momentum
sure.
going into the playoffs. In a playoffs that's going to have just all NFC North teams, feels like. Yeah.
Except the Bears.
Yeah. And they like 2 field goals and a Hail Mary away.
The next game was my Denver Broncos beating on those bum ass. Are we allowed to swear? Those bum Raiders. 29-19. In what was an okay game, you know, it wasn't a win in the dominant fashion that it was last week against the Falcons, but a win's a win. You know, I'll take any of those that I can get for sure. Starting with the home team, which was the Raiders, they played actually pretty well. They came out and started really fast. We were just matching it, but they were looking like the better team. They were pulling out trick plays. They had they were going for a punt and they faked it and passed it. They were winning the line of scrimmage. I mean, they were doing everything right. They were up 13-9 at halftime. But they did fall away in the second half. The Broncos defense did get back. Did get their get back for sure. Did force an interception which set up a touchdown, and I mean, it felt like the momentum kind of shifted after that, and the Broncos then scored another touchdown, and they were clutch enough to seal out the game. A couple great game of defensive plays kind of ended it, and overall it was a improved game for sure. It was a divisional game, so of course it's always going to be an improved performance, and it's no different. It is their first loss at home to the Broncos in nearly 10 years and 9 years. So I mean, I guess it had to happen at some point. But leaving them, going on to the Broncos, your weekly Bo Nix update. He was really nice. 25 for 42, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Hey, all I'm saying is he's my rookie of the year. But I mean, overall the run game was still heavily inconsistent. Oh my god. I mean, it was rough at times. Jaleel McLaughlin was our best running back, and he only had 44 yards. Did get injured, I believe, but I don't think it's too serious. Javonte Williams is mid. But Cortland Sutton had probably his best game of the year so far. 8 receptions, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was balling out. He was bullying the Raiders corners. Vele, the rookie, he was really nice as well. Had 80 yards. He was just doing his job for sure. I like the way that we are using Marvin Mims now. The offense is just improving and getting more consistent. That's really all I want, is just consistency, no matter how we get it done. I mean, I'm definitely not complaining about scoring 29 points for sure. Overall, you know, it was a great road win. Needed it for sure. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the win.
Anyway, the next game is the Seattle Seahawks pulling it out against the Cardinals, 16-6. Disappointing because I had the Cardinals, but the Seahawks are playing well when it matters most. You know, they were a questionable team early, getting smoked by good teams and only beating down on the bad teams. But this was a great win for them. Gino went for 254 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Had a solid game though, got it done. But you know, got to show love to the man out of the Ohio State University, and not Marvin. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba breaking out. He's sixth in receiving yards so far this season. Had 77 yards and a TD on 6 catches. And he's over 350 yards on the past 3 weeks. He's absolutely breaking out for them, and I love to see it. For the Cardinals, clearly their offense struggled. They had 6 points. But the main issues was the blocking, first off. Murray got pressured 16 times, got sacked 5, which is a season high for Kyler. He also threw a pick 6, so that's not gonna help. And then their run game was abysmal, the Cardinals. James Conner had not even 10 yards on 8 carries. Him and Benson combined for 26 yards on 11 carries. That's never gonna work. I will shout out Trey McBride. He's playing really well. Had a career day, 12 catches, and 133 yards. So that's pretty much the one bright spot for the Cardinals this week was Trey McBride. But a nice win for the Seahawks in the crazy division that ties them up, but it gives Seattle the lead in the division technically through tiebreakers. The division's going to come down to the wire though, and it's going to be really entertaining to see who is able to pull it out.
It's going to be a movie.
Yep.
But moving on, it was the Philadelphia Eagles storming into the Rams' house and beating them 37-20. Before we get into the best player ever, let's talk about the Rams. They had a pretty solid and sound game overall. Matthew Stafford threw for 243 and 2 touchdowns, a really solid performance by him. Kyren Williams had 72 yards on the ground. Puka keeps, dominating. He had 9 catches and 117 yards. Cooper Kupp did have 60 yards and a touchdown. Overall, it was a fine performance, but I do feel like the Rams don't exactly have enough talent to really compete with the elite teams like they did a couple years ago. Obviously, they have a lot of fight for sure, a lot of mongrel, but I just don't know where they can. I don't know, we can really fight these top end teams anymore. Obviously, I want to be proven wrong though. Matthew Stafford, I really like him, and I mean, I still like this Rams team a lot, but they're just not at their best performing wise. But moving on, I did mention a little bit. The Eagles might have the greatest running back ever. Honestly, who knows? That being Jalen Hurts. No, I'm kidding. Jalen Hurts, speaking of him, he had a really sound game. Only 15 completions for 179 yards and a touchdown. A really solid game by him overall. And that's really all he has to do, because he has Saquon Barkley, who went off for a solid 255 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And also 47 receiving yards. So he had over 300 yards on the day and 2 touchdowns. That is absolutely insane. Good luck if you had to play him in fantasy. That's all I gotta say. But AJ Brown also had a really nice day, and overall, it was a really good win for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are right there with the Detroit Lions. Being some of the best teams And to me, or at the moment, it kind of looks like it's lining up to be them two in the NFC Championship, but who knows? But yeah, good win for them for sure.
Eagles just praying that the Buccaneers don't sneak into the playoffs. Sunday Night Football was a good game, ending in the Baltimore Ravens pulling it out 30-23 and staying close to the Steelers. They still have a real chance, especially after the Steelers lost this week. In this game, though, it was Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 140 yards. He may not have had the performance that Saquon had, but he had a pretty damn good performance as well. He's massive for the Ravens, and yeah, I mean, we're seeing how good running backs are, and how big they are. But Lamar, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, added another touchdown on the ground. Great performance from him. Justice Hill, even their run game was lethal for the Ravens. Justice Hill had 55 yards on 4 carries, topped off by a 51-yard rushing touchdown. The Ravens looked great against a really nice-looking Chargers team as well. The Chargers put up a fight, though. Herbert put up 218 passing yards and run it in for a touchdown once. He looked nice out there against the really good Ravens D. I don't think the Chargers can be too upset because the Ravens are maybe the best team in AFC. They're up there for sure with the Bills and the Chiefs. But great game by the Chargers. The cool story though, John Harbaugh pulls it out against his brother. That's pretty cool. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more close matchups between the two. Nice one for the Ravens though. As I said, they're a game back from the Steelers now. And the Chargers, I'm fairly confident they're going to be a wildcard team as well. They're looking really good. But now I'll just quickly mention our records for the week. I went 9-4. Unfortunately, you went 10-3.
Yes, sir.
Beating me out by 1.
Yeah.
Let me...
You're just bad.
Hey. Yeah, you got me in that Seahawks Cardinals game. That's the only difference we had. I really thought the Cardinals had it. Damn. And that was my game of the week. It was not a good game.
It was not. Both of our game of the weeks sucked. I had the Packers 49ers game, and then during the week I saw that Brock Purdy was out, and then that Nick Bosa was out. I'm like, oh god.
And then you locked the Texans, but I locked the Chiefs, and they were really close to losing. They nearly lost. Well. Yeah. I mean, we
nearly went 0 for 4 on all of that.
That would have been crazy. Anyway, that being said, I think it's time to get into the fun. The Week 13 predictions. Yo.
Well, the first game of Week 13 Week 13, I believe I don't know if it's on Thanksgiving, but it's there's 3 games on Thursday Night Football, and the first one of them is the Detroit Lions taking on the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Oh, I meant in Detroit. Obviously it's a game that happens like every year. It's a big game for both teams, but the Bears, they've been pretty good as of recently, but they aren't the Lions. The Lions are just a different beast, I think, and so give me the Lions to win in this one at home as well.
I am obviously picking the Detroit Lions as well. I do actually think the Bears. What are you doing? But yeah, I do actually think that the Bears can make this a good game. I think it'll be a tie one through the first half, maybe through the third quarter, but the Lions are going to end up pulling it away. They're just that good of a team. I'd probably pick them over any team in the NFL just about now, especially in Detroit. So give me Detroit here. And then the next game is the Battle of the Mid. The New York Giants, Tommy DeVito. I assume he's starting again. Going into Dallas to play Cooper Rush. And to be completely honest, I want to pick the Cowboys. Well, I'm gonna stick with what I said. I'm not picking the Cowboys all year. So give me the Giants here. I do think it could go either way. Both teams are just bad. I'm gonna take the New York Giants and pulling out one against the trash Cowboys. Maybe Tommy DeVito can bring back some of the magic from last year. I
Fair
don't know.
enough. I mean, it is Thanksgiving, and you never know. I kind of do like that pick, but I mean, it's just they're not very good. And the Cowboys, they got a win, and that's something. And they've just been, slightly better than the Giants for sure. And especially in Dallas, give me the Cowboys. I just think that the Cowboys can get the job done. I could honestly see this being a blowout as well, not gonna lie. But give me the Cowboys. Alright, the next game is maybe one of the games of the week. I mean, it's actually gonna be a crazy game. It is the Miami Dolphins going into Green Bay and playing the Packers. This is a tough game. The Dolphins have been cooking for sure, even against good teams. But the Packers, they've kind of found their way. And I mean, as long as Jordan Love doesn't turn over the ball like he's Brett Favre, I think that they can win the game, and especially at Lambeau. Give me the Packers. Also because I don't want the Dolphins, but still, give me the Packers. I think that they can get the job done for sure.
I'm here for the Dolphins magic. I want them to make the playoffs. And the way Tua's playing, anything's possible. Give me them over the Packers here. They're playing amazingly recently, and I think they can continue that form. Packers are a great team though, so it'll be a very interesting matchup. If there wasn't another certain game with two birds playing, this would for sure be my game of the week. It is what it is. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, those bird teams, man.
To the next day, it is the Las Vegas Raiders playing at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs just had a close game to the Panthers, but they pulled it out, didn't they? That's what they've been doing all year. I expect they'll do it again. I don't know if it'll be close. The Raiders suck, so anything's possible. But yeah, the Raiders are just terrible. The Chiefs will be able to get it done. I'm sure they want to win the AFC. So give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you. Give me the Chiefs. In Arrowhead as well. That's a really tough place to play. Yeah, give me the Chiefs, the Raiders. We know that they suck. Anything's possible, especially with how the Chiefs have kind of been playing.
Yeah.
They've been playing better though, and I expect them to get the win. But the next game is actually quite an interesting game. A really good game, I think it will be, between the Chargers and the Falcons in Atlanta. And just based off what I've been seeing over the last few weeks, give me the Chargers. I think that they've been really a much more improved team. They weren't the best in prime time. The Ravens, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, they're one of the best teams in the league. And really, if they can fix their dropping problem, they can be one of the elite teams. The Chargers can. I think that they will go and fix most of their wrongs at least. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Falcons roster is definitely good enough to win, especially in Atlanta. But I mean, the Falcons, their holes and their problems are so massive, like having no D-line, that just to me means the Chargers can get the win. And yeah, give me the Chargers.
If only the Chargers had a sure-handed, steady wide receiver that could catch like a Keenan Allen. Oh wait, no, I agree with you there. I'm taking the Chargers here. They did well against the Ravens, didn't pull it out, but they've been impressive this season. I'd expect that they continue that. This could be a really interesting matchup. But Atlanta, they've been a bit up and down this season. Their record's solid, 6-5, but they've been some bad teams. They're in obviously the West Division in football, so Yeah, give me the Chargers. Moving on is actually a really tough one for me. AFC North battle. It's Pittsburgh in Cincinnati. I'm gonna take the Bengals here. Effort. You know, I just think the Steelers might struggle to keep up with Joe Burrow because I'm not sure they have the offense to keep up with Joe Burrow and the way Joe Burrow's been playing. Like it might not matter how bad the Cincinnati defense is. I'm sure when Russell Wilson's all opposing QB, anything's possible, you know, for that defense. And I think the Bengals can pull off an upset here. It's been a rough season for them, but I'm sure they still hate the Steelers and they'll be alright.
Well, but I'm the bad guy for saying he wasn't amazing.
I just want to pick my narrative.
You know, you've kind of persuaded me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I could see them getting locked up, but the simple fact is, I think that there's more of a chance of the Pittsburgh offense getting locked up than the Bengals offense. And I think that the Bengals, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but I could see the Bengals getting the job done. Pittsburgh's offense has struggled all year. It hasn't changed in the last like 10 years since Big Ben kind of went out of his prime. It's essentially struggled all the way since then, and it still does. And I mean, yeah, it's a divisional game in Cincinnati as well. You know, back-to-back away games is pretty tough for them. And yeah, I actually really like that pick, so I'm gonna pick the Bengals as well. I think that they can get the job done, especially since they're kind of desperate. You know, playoffs. They're still in the playoff race, even if they have an outside chance. The fact is, they're still there.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But moving on from that, it is an AFC South matchup between the Texans and the Jags. It feels like the Texans play an AFC South opponent every week and lose to them every week. And this is kind of a tough one, but I am gonna go with the Texans. I mean, I can't trust them to win them. I can't trust them to win any football games at this point, but the Jags aren't good. They may be the worst football team in the league. And so for that reason, give me the Texans over the Jags.
My official pick. I'm gonna pick
The pick is in.
the decision. I'm gonna be taking my talents to Houston, Texas. Unfortunately, I have to pick them. I really think the Jags have a chance here, but I mean, I want to win the competition that we have. So the Texans have just been better all year. I know they played poorly. Jags coming off a bye could help them, but they're in some rough shape. Coaching is rough. I like Doug Peterson, but you know, it's only a matter of time before he's out of there. But yeah, give me the Texans. They're just a better team. The next game is a nice, solid game. The Cardinals at the Vikings. Cardinals at the best would make this a solid game, but I'm taking the Vikings. It's in Minnesota. Sam Darnold's coming off a great game. The Vikings are coming off a great game. We know how good their defense is. So I think they might make it tough again for the Cardinals. Cardinals offense might have another rough week. And the Vikings have a great all-around offense. You know, good rushing attack, good passing, threats and whatnot. So give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm agree with you here. I think that Minnesota, yeah, they're a really well-rounded and solid team. And I mean, as you did say, the Cardinals at their best can make this a really good game. If not, I think that they could beat them. But the fact is that they're way too inconsistent. Just being a young team, I think, and you know, kind of new coaching and all that, they're just inconsistent most of the time. And I just don't know if they have the talent to pull this one off, especially it being in Minnesota. So give me the Vikings. But moving on, it is the Patriots taking on the Colts in Foxborough. A bit of an interesting game. I could honestly see this one being really close, just the way that the Colts have been playing at times this year, especially if they had Joe Flacco. But I think I am going to take the Colts. I honestly don't trust Anthony Richardson like at all. I could see this being a Patriots victory, but I think, you know, desperation mode. You know, they're 5-7. They're definitely not out of the playoff race. Sure, they don't have, you know, the box seats or the first class seats to the playoffs, but they were in with a chance, and I think that once they finally realize that, they can maybe become a better team than what they have been. So yeah, give me the Colts to beat the Patriots.
Give me the Patriots. You know, Jared Mayo, it's been a rough season. I think he could, you know, he's going to bring the team. They've been in some really close games against better competition than the Colts. So I think they for sure can make it tough on Anthony Richardson. I'm not sure how tough that is to do, to be fair. But
Fair enough.
yeah, I think Drake May could have a really nice game. So
Yeah, he's gonna have a guaranteed 12% completion rate. So. Yes.
and then Seattle and New York against the Jets. Let me say that.
I was about to be like, damn, the Giants.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle here. Coming off a great win. You know, your New York Jets absolutely suck. They're
not mine. I
Super Bowl
disowned
team.
them
They
like
are
8
not a
weeks
playoff
ago.
team. They are not a playoff team. When you say it's a
Man,
team,
Josh Allen is in the
you
MVP.
had them winning the division. Josh
It's
Allen's
not
closer to
my
the
fault
MVP than they
that
are
I
to
thought
the Bills.
that Aaron Rodgers would be bummed. He's
Josh
not.
Allen might win the MVP, man.
He's
still,
not.
if he wins AFC, there's still plenty of time.
The Jets have more of a chance of making the playoffs than Josh
No,
Allen
they
winning
don't.
MVP.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Alright,
yes,
who
they
else?
do.
Saquon, Lamar, and then it's Josh Allen. Derrick
No,
Henry.
it's Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is not there. I don't give a damn if he's 10-1. He is not winning
Patrick
an MVP this year.
Bo Nix.
Josh Allen's way higher. Jared Goff. Yeah, I
Joe
can see
Burrow
that,
if his
but I don't
team
think
locked
so.
in.
Joe Burrow's
Joe
not
Burrow
winning it.
would
They
win
suck.
it. If his team
That's
locked
fair.
in, he would win it easily.
Yeah, if they were like a competing for the division with the other teams, there for sure, he'd have his first MVP for sure.
For sure. But all I'm saying with that is that I don't give a damn. Like Josh Allen, I do like him. I don't give a damn though.
I really think he can.
I
win.
want Saquon to win it. I don't.
I do
care.
too. I agree.
know.
I like
Like
Josh Allen, but I want to see the running back, just like Ashton
I
Jensen.
want to see a
now has
running
been.
back. Yeah, for real. I mean, to be fair, Heisman's different. I feel like.
It is. Running backs win it for sure. A lot more than MVP, but they don't win it out of a Boise State type school, out of a small school, smaller
true.
school. The Jets are 3-8 this season. They are nowhere near where you projected them to be. Meanwhile, Seattle have been currently leading the division and coming off a great win against the Cardinals. So I'm gonna take the Seahawks here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I reject the Jets formally as my team, obviously, and yeah, they suck. Give me the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are getting more consistent every week. They're getting wins when they need to get them for sure, and yeah, they're doing their job. You know, unlike the Jets aren't doing their job. I'm pretty sure A-Rod said that he's openly said he doesn't want to play for the Jets anymore. The locker room is completely lost at this point. They got all the divas in the world. They got Sauce Gardner, Devontae Adams, and yet they got nothing to show for it. So yeah, give me the Seahawks to win. But moving on, it is the Washington Commanders taking on the Tennessee Titans, and honestly, this is kind of an interesting game. But just because it is in Washington, I think that they have to lock in. They have to win this one, I think. And for that reason, give me the Commanders. I think that they can get the job done but I feel like it's kind of a game they have to win, or else their season kind of starts slipping up. Obviously, like I said earlier, not over by any means, but they've got to get something. They've been not as good in recent weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Tennessee is still, they want that draft pick. That's what they're competing for, that draft pick. And Washington, I'm sure they can have a bounce back game. Tennessee looks good, but I have to take Washington. They're just a better team. I don't think Tennessee can, do it again, back to back. find that highly unlikely. But moving on, we have Baker Mayfield at the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. This is maybe a solid game. If Bryce Young keeps his good form, it for sure could be a nice, interesting game, but I'm going to take the Buccaneers. They're competing for that division right now, and Baker Mayfield is cooking. The defense, they look in sync right now. And if they really do want to actually have a chance to make the playoffs, they need this game against the Panthers. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers here.
But give me the Buccaneers. The Panthers, they've been really good as of recently. I've loved what they've been doing. I loved how Bryce Young has been playing. He's been playing so much better. But I just feel like they don't match well with a team like the Bucs, even if the team is a, divisional opponent. It is in Carolina, but I don't think that makes much of a difference. The Bucs, with Mike Evans, are definitely a different beast. So yeah, give me the Bucs. I think that they can, they're definitely going to be looking to get into the playoffs, and I reckon that they can do it. But they got to start by getting this win for sure. But the next game is the Rams taking on the Saints. And in this one, the Saints, they're coming off of a week's bye. Could help them, but I ultimately don't think it will help them. I think that the Rams will just get the job done. They'll do what they have to do. And overall, they're a really solid team, and I think that they can definitely get a win against a team like this, especially with how much, offensive superstardom they have. And yeah, give me the Rams to win over the Saints.
Yeah, I gotta agree. The Rams are just a better team in this spot at this time. The records are only split by 1, but I have to take the LA Rams here. They're just a better team. But I'm gonna keep that short and move on to my game of the week. It is Philadelphia. I was looking away. But anyway, my game of the week, Philadelphia in Baltimore. Gonna be an amazing game. In this one, I'm gonna take the Eagles. I think they've been playing a little better. So, the two best running backs in the league, undoubtedly, at the moment, going against each other. But the Eagles, I trust their defense and their all-around, team more than I trust the Ravens at this current spot. It's going to be a great game, though. That's without a doubt.
I personally also have this being my game of the week. The Battle of the Birds, if you will. And I think I will... Who did you choose? I zoned out.
The Eagles.
Alright, I'll go Baltimore here. I think they're two powerhouse teams for sure. I really like both of them. I like their rosters. I think that they can both compete for a Super Bowl, obviously. But I mean, the Ravens are they are injured for sure. They are losing They do not have Roquan Smith, I believe, but they still managed to get the job done against a pretty good Chargers team. And it is in Baltimore, so that's a big plus for them. And yeah, I mean, they play a lot better in big games, and for that reason, give me Baltimore. Moving on, it is Sunday Night Football between the Bills and the 49ers. Unfortunately, a game plagued by injuries. Honestly, could have been the game of the week if the 49ers weren't so injured. And for that reason, give me the Bills in Buffalo as well. Josh Allen is, to some, playing like an MVP.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for that reason, give me the Bills. They're firing up. They're doing really well, obviously. And yeah, as I mentioned, the 49ers, they're just so banged up. I just don't see how they can get the win.
You took it right out of my mouth. I got the Bills. The way that Josh Allen's been playing, he's a real contender for MVP at least, and he's playing phenomenally. The Bills they're really starting to rally on a big win streak, and so I'm gonna have to go with them. But moving on to the real best game of the week, the game of the week.
Yeah.
It is my Cleveland Browns
Yeah.
at the trash
No.
Broncos.
Yeah.
The, you know, this is if you've been keeping track. I haven't given my lock of the week, and that's because this game right here. I'm locking the Browns. I believe in us. You know, after the game we just had. The Broncos are a great team. I'll give them that, but I think the Browns could just another trap game. This time the Broncos might be the victims here. I think Jerry Judy's gonna have a phenomenal game, and I think the others will be able to support Myles Garrett have a big game, and it will be tough. That Broncos O line is cooking, but yeah, give me the Browns.
Alright, well, obviously, there's a lot of talk about what you just said with the lock of the week. Obviously, this is my lock of the week. And the reason is, I think that we obviously have a really good roster. I think that we will lock down Jerry Judy. We're not going to lock down Myles Garrett. Mike McGlinchey is going to get bitched like he did last week against the Raiders and Max Crosby. But the main reason why I think we're gonna win is actually because of you, because of what you did to the Chiefs. Instead of giving them the lock of the week, you reversed the call. Someone would say illegally.
The Kansas City Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. This is my lock of the week as well.
Illegally, and for that reason, the Chiefs will cast a black magic spell on you, and I think that the Browns will lose because of it.
Man.
So if they lose, it's on you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, we'll have to wait and see.
But comment down below how y'all did.
Oh yeah. Comment down below who you have. Browns or Broncos.
Oh, yeah,
the battle of the Titans.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for anyone that's out there. Maybe put a comment in the comment section below. Whatever. Just, show that you guys are supporting and show that you guys are here, first of all. But without further ado, is there anything you would like to say, Jan?
Go Browns.
Alright. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye! You talked about the OT game over the
I know.
Like
We gotta say
something point game.
the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Though. I don't even I'm beginning to think it was that's by far like the craziest game.
Yeah.
It was like 10-9 in the third, going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Dolphins. The Dolphins are one of my favorite teams. I really hope they
Man,
can.
F the Dolphins.
Damn, what do you got against them? I get the Lions.
What do you mean, what have I got against them? They're the one team that can make the playoffs.
Okay? Yeah, that's fair. I didn't think about that. Hey, y'all did them dirty. For real. Overall, though,
How'd we do him dirty?
you should have kept him. You should have kept him. He ain't want to leave.
He wanted out, maybe.
I doubt it. Yeah. But next up, we have the Baker Mayfield led Tampa Bay Broncos. The Baker Mayfield.
What? Interesting. Interesting. New team has rocked up to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by the former Bucks quarterback.
That was a crazy game, by the way. I was not locked in for like a bit of it, but damn.
That's true. It was a crazy game. I was out here celebrating to myself.
When we lost?
No, when I scored, I think. I don't know. We got off. Oh no, I got to do my pick. Of the.
Well, we can wait till the
Jets Seahawks game. We went on a random tangent.
Wait, did I even give my reasonings?
Yeah, you said No, you just said, give me Seattle, and then you went on, and the whole time you went,
I was talking about how bad the
Jets
Jets
suck!
were.
The Jets...
you had the Jets making the
Just stop
playoffs.
talking. You just
They're
you
3
just
and
stop
8.
talking
They're
about...
3 and 8.
You just stop talking about the Seattle Seahawks. You're an elite team.
I've come to speak with order. You again. Damn. Don't want to save me. How about make the damn defensive play?
I'm
Hopefully
just trying to be realistic over here, and you're out here bumping me. I see how it is.
What are you talking about? You were in the way.
You bumped me, you went straight into me just because I
You
know
were in
shot
my
it.
way. I missed.
What's this? Bye!
Oh, you nice shot.